actually really
He was actually
shocking.
playing Burroughs also. So we could have had a Erasmus.
We've got on the left AJ Sacher. Sacher? I always say that wrong. Sacher. Like the sport.
AJ has a monkey on his shirt.
Now, one thing to, I think remember from, I believe it was Kansas. In Kansas, we saw the Koldatha Red deck that day floating at the top of the tables, and it was the same person that had played it at the States, earlier. And that was the person, I think, that proved that it was a good deck. I wish I could remember which player it was that had been playing that deck.
Yeah, I mean, Koldatha Red has been floating around for a bit around the internet, but I don't think it's until the introduction of Signal Pest and Contested Warzone that the deck became the Tier 1 monster that I think it is right now.
Chris Anderson and I played a while back at U.S. Nationals, maybe about 3 years ago, and he just really impressed me as a player. He's one of those people that...
He's good?
Yeah, he thinks about his plays.
It's tight.
He's willing to play many different kinds of archetypes. I think he's in that same school like Jerry Thompson is, where he prefers to play a control deck, but he is not afraid to play a deck out of the normal path for him because he thinks it's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, Chris is a master. I 100% agree with you. I did a Ravnica Guild Pact Dissension draft with him in San Juan, Puerto Rico last year, and I never lose at RGD, ever. and he beat me. He outplayed me. It was pretty upsetting. We played old combat. It's RGD, you have to. Otherwise you get Peel from Reality and all those cards. We played old rules.
I think when you go to those archaic format decks, it's sometimes better to do that just for those very reasons.
Yeah, because I mean the whole draft format was if you use new rules, it doesn't work. That's the whole. Now they design sets with those things in mind, but back then they did not.
Okay, so just remembering what AJ's deck looks like, I think that Chris has got a really big edge here.
I mean, if AJ wins the die roll, which he did not, and has a Black Sun's in it. And AJ is mulliganing. He has no lands. Or he has Iceman's Contract. Alright. Chris has a pretty good opener. Is that Galvanic Blast in Chris's hand?
Maybe. I mean, the deck that was played in Kansas City did run Galvanic Blast.
In the testing I did, we had Galvanic Blast in the deck for a while, and I had more than one game where I would have won the game if Galvanic Blast was Lightning Bolt. And over the course of, a smallish number of games, and we switched to Lightning Bolt, and the number of times where if it was Galvanic Blast we would have won, but we didn't because it was Lightning Bolt, was 0 after 30 games. So we ended up thinking that Bolt was just strictly superior.
It might be different now that we've got Pest in, unless you're talking about post-Pest.
Oh, I am talking about post-Pest.
Okay. So we've got the turn 1 Rebirth. And let's see what he's going to use here. MTG Mom? Is that Yoda?
Those are pro player cards.
I thought I saw a Yoda there at the front. Oh, no. It's Neil Reeves.
Oh, man, that's brutal.
I'm sorry, Neil. You're one of the most awesome players I've ever known, but the glare got me. Oh, contest 6. Let's chop your life down to a third of where it was. I pretty much feel like if there's not a Ratchet Bomb here, it's over. Six.
Well, Legacy Challenge, that is time for the round. Active player finish your turn. See the additional 5 turns. Once again, Legacy Challenge, that is time for the round. If Don O'Brien is in the room.
And he's got nothing left in his hand. Nothing left at all.
Yeah, no, he just... This is... Look, all he did was play a Kadaltha Rebirth and play some lands, and his opponent is dead on turn 4. That's all he did.
In they come. Hit for 7. Go to 1.
You go to 1.
Okay. Black Sun Zenith for 2. Nope.
Yep.
There we
One
go.
spell. That's all it takes.
That's John Wizards.
And that's what Kadaltha Red does.
Make it cost 0, and make it add mana to your mana.
Really good metagame.
I don't think he should have cast that Ornithopter unless he knows AJ's deck. Just because it doesn't actually make his clock any faster. But on the other side of it, it does mean that a Ratchet Bomb could really tear him up.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't matter because he does not have the Ratchet Bomb. And maybe he knows that. You know, these guys are friendly enough that it's possible that they've already played a bunch of games and know what each other has.
Kyle Shuttleworth, Craig Wesco, your draft is ready to move on.
Yeah. I mean, both these guys know each other. I don't know how well they know each other, but...
Right.
Once again, we're looking for Craig Wesco and Kyle Shuttleworth.
Okay. So it looks like Jinxed Idol is coming in for Chris Anderson. And you and I talked about this sideboard choice before. We're not sure whether it's appropriate.
Ben Hayes spoke to me a little bit ago, and Ben Hayes said that he thinks it's definitely the right card for that slot. And maybe I had inbred testing. Maybe I was playing against decks where that card wasn't good because I didn't think it was very good against decks like Blue-White Control because I was playing against Cargo, and they had stuff like, and those were the control decks that I was playing against. So, I mean, it's just
That's absolutely fair.
yeah, it's not good against some control decks, but it's very good against others. So.
That looks like a Goblin Warcaller. So I definitely see Jinxed Idol. I wonder, do you think that he's playing a deck that is basically the same build as Jerry Thompson's then?
Probably.
Right.
Although, you know what? Actually probably not. Chris Anderson probably built Chris Anderson's deck.
Okay. Or maybe Chris Anderson built Jerry Thompson's deck.
That's also very possible. It does look very similar.
That was just my thought. It had
Rippling through it.
some of the same cards, some of the same card sideboard choices, and a lot of that is what's the phrase? A lot of that is just kind of parallel development. It can be natural to go to the same spot with somebody. You know what I mean? But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're the same designer. Just that the deck, the cards, all of that forces you into the same spot.
Man, how good is Signal Pest?
It's at least okay.
I know, it's hilarious because these cards are horrible. Here I am just musing about how awesome they are. All of them. So post-board, AJ's matchup does get better, and AJ gets to be on the play this game.
Yes.
So I would not be surprised if AJ was able to steal game 2.
Oh, I'm not. It's more about game 3 for me. You know, he has to win game 2. So, for the sake of argument, let's say that he does. Then we go to game 3, and Chris is on the draw or on the play, and I wonder, even with AJ's resistance, how much of an edge that on the play gives. Because I believe AJ has access to 3 Disfigure after board, has 3 Go for the Throat, and has 3 Black Sun Zenith, and only 1 Vampire Nighthawk.
Yes, it's 1. He also has 1 Wretched Bomb.
Okay, Inquisition is a really great opener for him. Land, Chimeric Idol. I think that's a pest, a signal pest. Ornithopter. Can't make out the next one. I think I see a Goblin Bushwhacker.
Yes, a Bushwhacker. Wow, that's a really good hand.
Rebirth, Bushwhacker, Ornithopter, Chimeric Idol, Signal Pest Mountain.
Shame we didn't get to play that developer. So
Pest Thopter can attack for 1.
it's impressive stuff.
Kicked Bushwhacker turns that 1 into 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's how they do. That's how this deck fights, man.
Rashad says, if only this deck were green. I don't know, when Groundbreaker was around, it didn't see much play. Are you talking about that really awesome deck with green 3 guy? Make a huge elemental?
What does it do?
The legend that had discard a copy of himself. Okay, on
Oh,
the other
that guy
side
was
of-
awesome. Baru, Fist of Krosa.
Rashad did have a Baru deck that was awesome. And
I
so
like Baru.
we've got Chris Anderson kicking, coming across for even more. Turn that 6 into, good God.
Legacy Challenge players, your pairing for the fourth and final round of Switch have been posted. Please find your seats once again.
6 becomes 9.
Legacy Challenge players, your pairing for the fourth and final round of Switch have been
Yep.
posted. Please find your
That's
seats.
damage.
Okay, Mana Leak, a card that I don't know that I would keep in this matchup.
You have to summons. If you know the leaks, like
What has he got there? 1. Black Sun Zenith for 1. And it looks like that Zenith is in his yard.
Chimeric Mass, or
Oh yeah, it goes to your shovel.
There we go.
Good cards at the top. Good quality shot.
he's just constantly forgetting that. It's happened to him multiple times while we've watched.
It's hard to remember.
Yeah, Lou was just saying that it was hard for him to remember.
Yeah. I never really had problems forgetting to put that 5 damage beacon back in. Beacon of Destruction, I always remember to put it back in. But if you're just blowing up some creatures, I'm sure it might be easier to forget. Okay. Chimeric Mass for 3. Actually a very difficult card to handle if he's got Grasp for the Throat and Disfigure as his primary Elim spells.
Yeah, it doesn't seem.
Here it comes. Swing for 4.
7.
And that looks like a... Is that a Disfigure? In his hand, did AJ just draw a disfigure? Okay. So he's got a disfigure, a grave titan, a mana leak, and I think a land. On the other side of the table, AJ's 5 land in play is versus Chimeric Mass for 3, Ornithopter with a -1/-1 token on it, 2 mountains, and a contested war zone. I think we're going to see a Kuldotha Rebirth here on that very, very weak Ornithopter. Oh,
Well,
nope.
no. I mean, he's...
Just hit for 4?
Yeah, he had it last turn. I mean,
Okay.
he's not going to bite.
Oh, okay.
There's no reason.
When I saw him reorganize his board position, I thought that's what he was doing when he was reorganizing it, but it was just to move his creature into a different position. Disfigure to gain 2 life. That's what AJ must be contemplating right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's
There's
very
nothing.
reasonable.
There's
You
nothing
don't
wrong
die
with
to
it.
bolt.
Does he have a creeping tar pit in play or anything like where? I don't think he does.
No.
Yeah, just gain 2 life.
It's going He gets to play Grave Titan, though.
If that's a land, he gets to play a Grave Titan. In his hand, I mean. Oh. Is that a swamp in his hand?
No. Jinx Title. Tempest Jinx Title.
No, I mean in AJ's hand.
No. That is a Worm Coil engine.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. His hand is Worm Coil, Grave Titan, Mana Leak.
This is a rough spot.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. I think that's it.
He can do kicked Bushwhacker, follow up with Jinx Idol, double threat. But if he does that, he does not get the Chimeric Idol.
Yeah, I mean, he has to come out.
Swings for... just 3. Leaves the Chimeric Idol back as the threat. Swings for 4. Oh, nope. It's just 3. Chimeric Idol gets the mana leak. Down to 2. Is that a Spreading Seas? Or Preordain? I think that's it. I think it's a... unless he gets something off the top here. The land he needed a long time ago.
Yeah.
There we are.
Yeah, and Chris Anderson takes it.